Hi, welcome to Colleagues Getting Coffee. Today I'm joined on the palatial sofa with Charli Streete from Think Big, Do Bigger. Think Big, Do Big, Dick. There we go.
That's the one, something like that.
We're going to start it anyway. We're just going to continue. So, Charli, what do you do? Tell us about it.
What do I do? So Think Big, Do Bigger.
That's the one.
Is a community interest company, and we kind of, on the surface, we do creative well-being. But underneath that, there's kind of a lot more that goes on. It's a high focus on co-production, so doing stuff with people rather than just delivering to them, getting that involvement. And we kind of go out into the community and use our creative methods to engage people, really, which is good for well-being, is the general idea. Alongside that, we do reflective practice with organisations and their staff. So it's kind of a mix of creativity, well-being, and reflection.
Sounds fantastic. Excellent. So I've got lots of things to talk to you about because I'm very interested in multiple things. Because we first met when you first started.
Yes.
Which is very interested. And we kind of did a bit of a reframing thing, didn't we? And like looked at different angles. And I think that since me.
It was since that. It played a big part, actually.
Oh,
that's not, I'll just boost you up there, but no, it did. We did the values thing, didn't we?
And it's sort of
huge.
I feel like you tapped into something that was just like way more positive, and it's just absolutely flown because I love the blackout poetry. So can we talk about that first?
Yeah.
Tell me about blackout poetry.
Blackout poetry. It is what it says on the tin, really. It's a really easy way to engage with poetry, be a bit creative. So we did a project early this year, which was using blackout poetry, went out into lots of different groups and did it. And it's essentially, you take a page of text, any text, and you black out the words that you don't want so that you're left with a few words that is like, becomes a poem. But it's really magic. So people do it and then they're like, oh, that's how I was feeling. That's my story. That's kind of, that means something. And then it looks really cool as well, because then we decorate around all the words. So you're left with these words popping out from the page and then the visuals.
Super cool.
So yeah, it's, and you can adapt it. So whatever you can always find a text for something. So it always kind of works.
Been joined by a cat.
Hello, cat.
He joined us yesterday too. This is the problem when you film at home.
Oh,
It's like he's a bit vicious, so we're going to push him up there. So I'm just going to grab his bum. So also the neurographic art.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So neurographic art and mindful art. So that's something we kind of do a lot of. Anything that focuses on the process of doing art rather than actually the end result. So it kind of invites people who wouldn't normally be creative, and even people who are creative. I think especially if you do that as a job, you kind of then get bogged down with like, oh, I need to do this as an output or whatever. So it's just a way of kind of just going back to basics and just seeing what happens on the page.
I really like it.
It's really relaxing.
And is it something to do with the way that the brain is wired as well? Does it help with?
Yeah, so neurographic art itself is something that's used by arts therapists. So it's used as a way of processing. It kind of weirdly looks like the brain when it's finished. But the idea is that kind of as you're doing it, you're kind of smoothing out and processing during the process of actually doing the art. So you kind of let it take you wherever you want it to go. But it's really good fun as well. And looks really pretty.
It does look. I actually do loads of them, and I saw your social media of you doing it, and I was like, I'm obsessed. I need to do my own version. But I find it kind of, I like, believe in like manifestation and mantras and affirmations, and actually writing things into the bubbles, and then I'm sort of colouring it in, and I'm thinking like, I don't know, joy.
Yeah.
And it's a really nice way to reaffirm that to myself and be like, oh, but yeah, I'm just sort of putting it into my soul, even though I'm producing at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think it's huge. And I think it kind of, as you're doing it, because you're actually doing something, you're thinking it, you're taking the time to actually kind of make space for yourself. So
it's so simple. It's not like it doesn't have to be perfect. You just do a squiggle and then you just make it so, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. So we are both very lucky people because we've both recently got a Gosport Heritage Generator grant. Now, what are the things we have to say? Thanks to Hampshire Cultural Trust, National Lottery Heritage Fund, and all the lovely lottery players. Yay! Good grief, that's for Charlie Fletcher just there. And I've got a puppet project, which I'm obsessed with. Puppets and books.
Project?
I know, I don't know what you're talking about.
Not fair if you mention it.
Honestly, it's taking all my power not to go and get my puppet head. It's fine. Right, but you're doing a cup of tea project.
I am.
Talk about that.
So the cup of tea project. It didn't start off as a cup of tea project because it's co-produced. Kind of the plan was to use Blackout Poetry and invite Gosport residents to kind of come and shape that project. And one of the things I wanted to look at, and one of the things I'm doing with the business at the moment, is kind of trialling this outreach model as a way of engaging people. So rather than kind of putting an event on and saying come to this, actually go into where they already are. So we wanted to look at how we could engage people with heritage that wouldn't normally engage with heritage. So one way of doing that is obviously going out and doing the poetry workshops, but we kind of came across the theme of tea because we felt like tea is one of those things that kind of universal. It's universal. Yeah. And it's comforting. It's that, when I walked in here this morning, you want a cup of tea. It's the first thing we say to people to make them feel welcome, to kind of build relationships. It's huge, but it's so much deeper than that. I'm getting really excited about tea now.
I get excited about puppets. You get excited about tea.
But it kind of, you've got different levels of tea. So you've got kind of your soup kitchen free cup of tea that you could go in, and then you've got your high tea at Harrods. It kind of crosses all
I always
boundaries.
think about when you're cold and you're doing a car boot sale and those warm cups of tea in that styrofoamy cup. That's what I always think about. I don't know why.
But it's a memory. It reminds you of something, which I just think is really lovely. And as I'm talking to people keep, they tell me their stories around tea, and I'm like, well, that's really nice, really nice. So what we're doing with it, we've got a on the website, you can go on and add your tea story, which is really cool. So we're collecting all those little snippets of.
And where can people do that?
So on our website, so. Do I need to do the www?
Yeah, www.thinkbigdobigger.co.uk. Perfect.
So you can go on there and the Gosport Let's Have a Brew, which is
I'm obsessed. I'm going to share
the title. Share it for me. Share
my cold boot sale days, making 20 quid, standing there from 7 a.m, but still feeling that sense of satisfaction. Interesting fact, when I do a car boot sale, I actually put on the clothes to show them off. Do you know how many clothes I've sold because of that? I'll be like, look, this beautiful jacket was bought for a TEDx event. And people are like, she's so insane, I kind of want to buy that jacket. And I'm like, 50p, bargain.
What, you take the jacket off?
I take it off, give it to them, put a scarf on. This scarf was bought in Ghana.
That's insane.
I'm actually real stupid. I don't mind.
But if it works, why not?
Well, as top saleswoman, 50p a scarf. Okay, so all of the wellbeing stuff and the stuff that you do, what's your main successful thing, would you say, that you've come across that's helped you or unlocked wellbeing for yourself through craft? Is there anything you can think of?
I think it's got to be the poetry.
Yeah.
I think that for me, I quite like words, so I like reading, and that I kind of do it with a book. So I'll buy a book from a charity shop and then I'll do a page, and when I look back at them, it's like having a journal without having to think about what it is that you're going to write, because it's already there. There's no trying to find the words, and quite often it's difficult to put our feelings and things into words.
Well, it's a lot of responsibility, isn't it, to find the words to say. So if they're already there and you're just choosing
them.
That's kind of clever.
Yeah.
I like that. And I guess it also improves people's literacy.
Yeah, it's really good. I did did a few workshops with a group of people who English was their second language, and was really useful for them, just to engage with a text in a different way, rather than just kind of passively reading it, but looking at kind of what that word means, and it's good. And it's really accessible. So, people who struggle with reading, it's accessible for them as well, because they're not having to read, they're just having to choose words. So it makes kind of books and texts a little less scary for people.
Love that. That's great.
I like it.
So, okay, and we've done a creative tip. What about a businessy tip?
Businessy tip. Oh, that would be, so my businessy tip was, I read on LinkedIn, and it was a post, and it was basically know your numbers, which kind of sounds kind of like, obviously, you should know your numbers, but I don't like numbers. But the post it was a bit provocative, and it said, know your numbers, because if you don't know your numbers, you're just doing a hobby. And I was like, actually, yeah, you're right. Like, whatever you're doing, whether it's for the good of other people, if you're a charity, whatever, know your numbers, because even to kind of realise your mission, you still need money, you still need to know what the figures are.
And I think that's a big issue for creatives, actually. They're so busy being creative, they don't do the business side of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I meet a lot of videographers and photographers who don't make any money, and they give all their work away for free. And I'm like, A, don't do that. Yeah. Because it minimises all of our value. But B, it's great being creative, but if you're going to do a creative thing because you are creative, then you need to bring the resource in to help you be businessy. Yeah. Because you've got to make money. I've got to feed a cat.
You've got a cat to feed.
Kids to feed. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And it is that. And it kind of, when you know the numbers, you're able to look at stuff and be a little bit more strategic about things, of kind of like, okay, this is a great idea, or I really believe in this, but what's the benefit? And that's not just like your personal benefit, because if it's something you really want to do as you, then great, but in terms of for your business as a whole, and it's kind of longevity and sustainability, is there a benefit? What's the figures for that?
Well, especially community impact. What's the target? What are we trying to get to? How are we going to get our projects in front of X amount of people who aren't involved in heritage, or who are kids, or whoever? Yeah. If we don't have a goal, we're just going in any old direction.
Yeah, and there's a thing about kind of funding, and so I've been lucky enough that we've got some funding, and kind of people's immediate response is, oh yeah, that's great, you're doing amazing, you've got some funding. Whereas my view is like, yeah, that's great, that's really good for now, but what about after that? What's the sustainability of that? How do we take that pot of money and that funding and then make that kind of keep going?
It's also really hard, and I think that's the thing in business for me, is you're doing it and you're building the pipeline at the same time. Yeah, you're always doing multiple things, which is kind of challenging. And and if you don't have a handle on that, that's when the famine and the feast happens. When you're like, oh, I've just poured all my energy into this, and then, oh crap, there's no pipeline. There's no more work coming through. So you always have to have multiple hats, or have an amazing collective of people who all do different stuff. Yeah. Tough. So obviously, I feel like with this crafty stuff, it's kind of quite useful to tap into a younger version of you. Yeah. So if you could go back in time, what advice would you give to younger you?
Younger me, in terms of business, that would it would probably be to be more strategic in the things that I say yes to. I think when you do, especially when you're doing creative things, when you're doing things for the good of other people, you get a lot of offers and requests to do things for free, which is great. And some things, I still do lots of things for free, for nothing. But being a bit more strategic with kind of actually looking at how does this benefit the business, and how does that grow us? How does, is it because it gives us visibility, or is there something that comes after that?
And I
Because
think
it's
that's a
also
great
time.
thing to do, because when you're saying yes to something, you're saying no to something else, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're too quick with a yes and you say yes to something that doesn't 100% align, you could have said yes to something that actually would benefit you more.
Yeah.
And I think, because some people would be like, oh, well, yeah, you're kind of strategically thinking. Maybe it's like, oh, you're only thinking about how it benefits you. But of course, things you do have to benefit you.
Yeah, and it's also remembering that kind of your time. So yes, I could say yes to everything, but that would then make other things suffer. So how much time do I have to spend on that? And it has to feed back into kind of our bigger aims, our kind of bigger goals. And also there's ways of kind of not just saying, no, I'm not doing that, but supporting people to kind of connect with other people who might do that. And I've found that in the last kind of 6 months or so, I've done quite a lot of that, of kind of people asking to collaborate and things like that. And I'm kind of like, yeah, that would be nice. Like, I like what you do. Yes, that's a good idea. But actually, I don't have the resources to do that anymore. However, I know this person that would work for. So you're still kind of spreading the love as such. Well, but I think I would be more strategic in those kind of decisions.
Well, that's why things like, high vibes are good, where you've got like, other local people who you can, reposition things to. And it's funny you've said that, because, I like to give back. So I've now decided that TEDx Gosport is my give back thing, which has then made me step back on other things. So like High Vibes, for example, is a lovely, but I wasn't giving it enough time that it deserved to be something that I really wanted it to be.
Yeah.
So now I can just do TEDx. It's like, okay, cool, I'll do that thing. And maybe I'll run another network in the future, but it'll be like way small and very specific about something that actually aligns with me and my longer term goals. I think it's really important to remember that. I think it's great advice.
Yeah, I think, because I think we kind of give ourselves a hard time in some ways, of like, oh, well, should they want my help, so I should give it. And you can. It's just about being.
But people will always find a way, as well, if they really want to do something.
Yeah, and you can kind of give them the carrot as such. You can say, oh, try this person. If you haven't got the time or the capacity to do that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that bit of advice.
I like that.
Okay, so what last question? I know because you mentioned it, but you said you like to read. So what are you reading at the moment?
What am I reading? Oh, see, I'm ashamed about my reading.
Oh.
I read every day, every night. I read my Kindle before bed. And I've got one of them. It's got the lit up screen, so I fall asleep till it drops on the floor. I read really, really trashy fantasy, like they're probably teen fic, like trash, vampires and witches and magic and like.
I love this.
Yeah, I have read. I feel like I did my uni, and so I've done some proper reading. And I've read some proper books. I've read all the classics and all of that. I've done that, but now I just like to
switch the brain off time.
Disappear into some magical world somewhere where we're all werewolves or something. Like it's.
This is not the answer I thought you were ever going to get.
Was it not? Well, now that's interesting. What did you think?
I thought it was going to be some sort of like, this let them thing that's going on. A let them book that talks about how we've got 4,000 weeks on the planet, and if people annoy you, you just let them, and like therapy, sort of self-helpy kind of. Like the power of now. I thought it was going to be like something.
Did you? So yeah, I've done all that.
Yeah, next. Werewolves. Number one.
I think
Let's do it.
my reading for me, like I love reading, and I do read. I also read like The Tiger Who Came to Tea and stuff like that to my daughter in the evening and stuff. So I'm kind of reading is a big part of my life, but I feel like now I don't need to go in too deep.
Do you know what?
Just a bit of trash.
It's sometimes too much, isn't it? Like, I don't know about you, even I go on LinkedIn and I'm like, oh my God, the weight of stuff, the advice, the articles on this, the opinion on that, that, oh, this could, if you look at this picture, these 12 pictures, it will change your perspective on this. And I'm thinking, I'm tired. I'm tired of learning all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I will read, like, I guess I will read during the day something maybe more academic if I'm, like, researching for a work thing, or, you know, I do still read that kind of stuff, but my book of choice for enjoyment, trash.
Trash.
Give me trash all the way.
I love it.
Maybe occasionally something that's kind of like has been kind of everybody's raving about, and I'll kind of go, oh, I'll give that a go. But
Love it.
yeah, trash.
Trash.com.
Trash
Let's
all the
do it.
way.
You heard it here first. It's important. I love that. Amazing. Anything I haven't asked you that you'd like to express?
I don't know.
No?
I'm just really chilled.
We're just going to have a little nap now.
Tea and a snooze.
That's what it is. This is what it is. The Zen den. You
It is.
arrived.
It's lovely. I like it here.
Oh,
I'm not
what's that?
leaving. You know
Yeah.
that. Get me out.
Here now. Awkward. The cat.
Yeah, the cat's
You
not
can start
impressed.
feeding him. He can keep you up all night now.
I'm hungry.
He's going crazy. Like, he's old. He's like lost his mind. And he's like, I'm starving. And I'm like, cool story. You're not. Well, thank you for joining me, darling,
Thank
on
you
the
for having me.
sofa. And let's just go and have a little power nap then, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect.